afternoon so that we could have a little conversation.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, just so that people watching know, we came to meet at a magazine release party. We had an interaction in the hallway where I talked to you a little bit about the show, and I'm pretty sure you were like, who is this crazy girl trying to talk to me about this show?
You had high energy, so I liked it.
Thank you. And then we ended up filming, I ended up doing an interview with Junior, and he kind of pushed you in my direction so we could have a conversation.
Junior.
But I'm glad he did, because I have just, while we've been setting up, I've really enjoyed our conversation, so I'm sure the people watching will enjoy it as well. The first question I like to ask to start off the conversation is, what do you think people's first impression of you is?
First impression? That I'm really caring. And like I was telling you earlier, a lot of people think that I'm really confident. Like a confident boss. I don't know one word to fit into that, but that's what I would say.
And what do you do for work? I assume that plays a role in why people think you're like a confident boss type girl.
I like to tell people I'm corporate by day, entrepreneur by night, because I work a 9-to-5 job, and I deal with billing and administrative type work. And then my entrepreneur path is I'm a personal trainer. I have my own lash line, a host on Luminary Sounds podcast, and I just do a lot of dibble-dabbling in a lot of different things as far as being in the entertainment industry, modeling, all that good stuff.
So you like to be busy?
I do.
That's
busy.
That's
productive.
You know, you said, what did you say? How did you say it? Businesswoman by day, entrepreneur by night. Is that how you said it?
Corporate by day, entrepreneur by night.
So
I literally will be at my 9-to-5 job, then I'll get off around 4:30. I'll come home and I'm literally working on a website, training a client, filming the podcast, doing something.
So are you originally from California?
I was originally born in Indiana, and I grew up in the San Diego County. I was adopted when I was younger, so they moved us out this way. And I have been in Ventura almost 2 years now.
Okay.
Roughly.
So you said you were adopted?
Yes, ma'am.
At what age?
At the age of 2.
Okay.
I don't want to cry, so let's keep it brief, because I will cry.
Hey, this isn't my story. This is your story. You can tell it as long or as short as you want it.
Okay, perfect.
And again, we don't need, I mean, if you don't want to talk about it, we don't want to talk about it.
No, I would say adoption is something that I feel like is kind of taboo, but I don't look at it as a bad thing. When I was younger, I kind of did, only because I kind of got teased a little bit. But the older I've gotten, I've kind of taken on the role to kind of be the face of people that have been through that type of situation, to let others know, like, there's not a difference between someone that's been adopted versus someone that grew up with their biological family. Everybody still has the same opportunities. And luckily, I'm blessed enough to be able to have a relationship with my biological family and with my adopted family. So that's a win-win situation, because there's some people that go through that situation and it doesn't turn out well.
So did you always know, or was there a certain age where your family sat you down and said?
It was pretty open. Like, I would say as soon as I was able to kind of ask questions, which was like around 5 years old, it was pretty open as far as like what the situation was, why we were even adopted. And then the older I got, I was able to further ask questions with my biological family and different things like that. So I'm appreciative of that too. I don't have a problem talking about it or saying like I was adopted. I don't view it as a bad thing, because I feel like I've been blessed with so many opportunities, and there's so many people that I've personally met myself that have said that I've encouraged them to do more or be okay with the fact that they were adopted. So I'm happy about it.
How old were you when you got to meet or talk to be involved with your biological family?
It was kind of a open process the whole time, so there wasn't really too much time that I didn't have my biological family in the picture. But the older I got, I would say maybe around 10. Like when I can remember, that's when we would go spend a night at my mom's house, different things like that. So it was always like open communication, like this is your mom. If you need or want any questions, you can ask her. So.
Do you have any siblings?
I do. Altogether, I have 5 brothers and 1 sister. That's including my other adopted brothers also.
Okay, so now your parents that raised you,
Mm-hmm.
did they adopt other children or did they have any of their own children?
They adopted 2 other children too, including my sister and my youngest brother. Yeah.
So you had biological siblings at your adopted home?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Exactly. Like, then that's very rare. Like, that's very rare because it could have been a case where we all got split up and I grew up and then was like, oh, I have brothers and sisters. So I'm glad that they were able to take me in, like my biological siblings too. And this is something that I've never like talked about on camera. I've had conversations with people like one-on-one, but I've never like openly like talked about it on camera. So.
Well, I'm so honored that you would share this with me. I'm in awe of you.
I'm so serious. This really feels like Hollywood Unlocked, like E-News type situation.
But I think in this situation, the E stands for everyday, right?
Exactly.
And everyday people's stories are just as important as what people consider to be celebrity news or eye-catching news.
Exactly.
You know?
I feel like now, especially with people having Instagram, everybody looks like a celebrity, but you never really know the inner works of a person. Like, as far as you look at somebody's profile, you wouldn't know that they came from a broken family, that they struggle with anxiety or depression on a day-to-day basis. So this type of setting is really good because even, like I said, people look at my Instagram page and think, oh, she's just this put-together, confident young lady, has a lot going on for herself, but I struggle each and every day just like everybody else as far as keeping myself motivated, working on my own personal development, dealing with anxiety, dealing with depression, dealing with everything that everybody else deals with, but I just try to not like stay in those things. And the only people that kind of know that I go through those things because I post small stuff on my story, but as far as just like looking at my profile, you would never know. So I think this is good.
Well, thank you. Well, this is a good spot for me to ask you one of the other questions I like to ask.
Perfect.
What is something that would surprise people to know about you?
Well, it always surprises people that I'm more nervous and shy than I come off with. Like, even Junior and Francis, when they first interviewed me about, like I was telling you before, I had reached out to them to be on their podcast to like kind of do promo and networking for them. And then when they were like, well, do you want to be our co-host? The first episode we filmed, I was terrified. And they were like, well, by the looks of your face, like you would never be able to tell, like ever. Even walking into a room with a lot of people, I'm usually like pretty shy, but people would never, ever guess that.
I would never have guessed that. You were very open with me from the first time we talked on the phone. And when I met you, like I said, that night at the event, I feel that there are a lot of people that do struggle in silence, and to know that other people are out there feeling the same way
Exactly.
is impactful. I mean,
Exactly. And I try to do my best even on my platform to let people know, like, it's okay to feel normal emotions. Like anger, it's okay. Nobody is happy 24/7 every single day. Happiness definitely is a choice, but we all have those days where it's a little bit harder than normal to not be upset or not be sad. So to try to portray yourself as a person that doesn't go through these type of normal emotions is false. So I try to do my best with my platform to let people know it's okay, and you still can be very successful with going through all these different emotions. Like, it's definitely okay.
I agree, and it does take a long time to realize that you can be okay with who you are as you.
Exactly.
I was
I'm just now getting to the age where I'm okay. Like, I'm okay not being okay.
So you mentioned that you moved to San Diego
Mm-hmm.
from the Midwest. Where in San Diego?
My mom lives in Chula Vista. My adopted parents live like in Escondido, Oceanside, San Marcos area, so I was kind of in between both of those areas.
So did everyone move together?
No, my mom is out here in California. My youngest brother, my sister, she was out here for a little bit too, but I believe she lives like in Detroit now. And then my adopted family, they are from like Wisconsin, Mississippi type area, but they moved to California a while ago too.
And how old were you when you moved to California?
2.
Oh, okay.
2, yeah. So California is like home.
Okay. And how did you end up in Ventura County from San Diego?
Another thing that it's okay to talk about.
I feel like I'm just peeling back these layers of you today.
Everybody's getting the tea today. I was in a relationship with a guy, which I met in Oceanside, and I moved up this way with him because he was in the military, so they stationed him in Ventura County. So me being young and in love, I moved up this way with him, and here I am. Here I am. We're no longer together now, but that's why I'm here.
And now why did you say it was something else that was hard to talk about?
Because, like, going through breakups is another thing I feel like, especially in this generation, we show when we're happy in a relationship, but then the moment we're not in a relationship, it's like, oh, just kidding. I was in love, but just kidding. So going through a breakup and just going through the whole process of not being with the person, and I was with him for 3 years, so I grew with him, I developed like into a person, I experienced a lot of different things with him, so going from being with a person every day to being by yourself, like that's a big transition, and it took me a while to be able to readjust to life. And then it's kind of embarrassing a little bit, especially on my part, because I was like, I'm grown, I'm moving with my man, and then we weren't together. And I was like, oh.
You know, you say something there, you said it's kind of embarrassing, and it brings me back to something you said before. Mm-hmm. You said everyone's on Instagram, so everyone's kind of like living that celebrity style, meaning you're always in the public, right?
Exactly.
So what you say here reminds me of that, because we tend to be more active and overshare, if you will.
Yes.
Whereas before, like you mentioned, it was the celebrity type personalities who were getting all of that oversharing.
Right.
So everything they did was in the public eye.
Right.
From happies to sads,
right.
to tragic, to happy, to sad, to tragic.
Exactly.
And now we're doing that to ourselves.
No help, no, we're not getting paid for it, anything, it's just...
Right, but I mean, you go out and you're with your friends and you're posting pictures of how happy and what a good time, and then you're out, like you said, with a significant other, and you're posting how happy and how much fun, and then maybe it's you've been with that person for a year, maybe you've been with them for 6 months, and then 2 weeks later you're not together anymore, and all of a sudden there's no more pictures of Mrs. or Mr. X.
Exactly.
And how you feel like you have to explain yourself.
Exactly, and that's a very good point, because I feel like even with myself, I would say sometimes if you're even not on Instagram, let's say like 1 or 2 days, you feel like when you come back you have to be like, oh, I was taking a few days to myself. In reality, you don't have to tell people why you were not on Instagram for 2 days. Like, you don't, but we feel like we have to. And the process with my last breakup, it taught me a lot, because I never had, I was never with anybody as long as I was with him, and then not being with him anymore showed me that I didn't know how to be Kawea. Like, I didn't know how to just be content with being myself in my life. It was always about somebody else, and I just was replacing each thing and each person with something. So not being with him taught me, like, okay, well, now is a good time to figure out who you are. Like, what do you want? It's okay to be by myself. It's okay to not have anybody to post. Like, all of that is perfectly, like we were talking about before, it's okay. Like,
yes.
It's okay.
And you said you're 26, right?
Yes.
So
27 in a month. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, girl. Jesus. I'm gonna be 42 at the end of this month. Talk to me about ridiculous later.
If I look like you at 42, I'll be good. Man. We will not have
were so sweet.
At all.
Well, but I feel like I remember back into when I was in my 20s, around your age, and all the different changes in life that I experienced, and
It's been a lot.
guarantee I'm not the same person that I was when I was 26.
Right. Me, even being 26, gonna be 27 in a month, like at 22, I would not have ever guessed like the things that I've been through, but I appreciate everything that I've been through because it's made me stronger. I've done a lot of personal development and I am more confident in myself. Like people think I'm confident, I am, but I'm more confident. So it's not just like the outward appearance, like internally I am a lot more confident, but I'm like, there's so much ahead of me, I know, but I'm like looking back now, I'm like, whew, I would never, ever, ever, ever would have guessed. Like half the stuff that happened. It's overwhelming, but in a good way. And it's crazy, like going through life, I would say it never crossed my mind that I didn't know how to love myself. Like when being young, you hear adults say all the time, like, love yourself first, make sure you love yourself, but I never really knew, like, I don't love myself. And I didn't know until my last relationship, like, that I didn't know how to love Kawea. And learning to love me was a process, and I'm still in the process of that, and I didn't even know that. Like, there's a process. You're not just going to wake up one day and be like, okay, boom, like, I have it all figured out. I know how to love myself. I know how to love somebody else. No, it's a process. I don't regret my past relationship anymore. When I first ended that relationship, I regretted it a lot because I'm like, well, I wasted 3, almost 4 years with this person, and I could have blah, 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 but now I look at it like as a blessing. One, I was really young when I got with him. The fact that things are the way that they are now, that's definitely a blessing. So I don't regret the situation, because if that specific situation didn't happen, I wouldn't be sitting right here today. Like, honestly, it helped me in so many different areas of my life. So shouts out to my ex.
I have always said that everyone comes in and out of your life for a reason, and you learn something
Exactly.
from every one of those experiences.
I agree with that too. I tell people that all the time.
So I have one last question, unless there's anything else you'd like to share with everybody.
Okay.
But one last question to close out our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If you had the opportunity as you were walking down the street, maybe on a weekend and passing people by,
Mm-hmm.
if you had the opportunity to hold up a sign that just said one thing about Kauai, what would you want it to say? What would you want people to know about you?
About myself? That's a tough one. How big is this scroll?
Yes, Junior's was a scroll, that's for sure. I remember that.
Just love yourself. Love others. Be okay with not being okay. Like, honestly. Because I feel like that elaborates on a lot. And just like the things that we talked about, it covers a lot. Like, it's okay. Like, that'll be in caps. It's okay.
I love it. No, I love it. I love everything that you've said and everything we've talked about, and I cannot thank you enough for sharing your story with me.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share myself.